From gardening to animals to extreme renovations, welcome to Homesteading at College Hill Farm. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're continuing our series on Casual and Complementary Prepping with answering the question of how much food do you need for a year. Well, this video is going to concentrate on cattle. Now, here in Kentucky where we live, cattle is king. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky's well known for Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're well known for horse racing and horse industry. But the truth is, Kentucky's a cattle state. East of the Mississippi, no other state produces more cattle than Kentucky. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at cattle as a homesteader animal. Now, I'm not talking about raising cattle to sell at market. That's not what this is about. This is about raising cattle for food and what value they can be on your homestead. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and see what cattle can do for you. There are more cattle breeds than you can shake a stick at. Everything from Brahmas to Zebu. They're on every continent except Antarctica and the Arctic. But, you know, if you think about it, if you consider the Arctic, musk oxen are probably just big hairy cows. Male cattle are called bulls. Neutered bulls are called steers. And a lot of times they neuter them so that they make appropriate beef steers. So they're going to eat them. Female cattle who has never had a baby is called a heifer. And once she's had a baby, she's just called a cow. Baby cattle are called calves. Now, when a baby cow is taken from the mother, before they're weaned, they're called feeder calves. And you have to feed them by hand, either with a bottle or with a bucket. Most of the time you have to start out with a bottle and then move them to a bucket. There are meat breeds that are specifically bred for meat. And there are those breeds that are just bred for dairy products. But now, you can still eat a dairy cow. So, let's look at some of these breeds. Now, dairy cows tend to be smaller, but you have to prepare for having these cattle. You know, you've got to provide them with minerals and different things to get them ready for what they need to do. You also have to be ready to provide them with housing, a way to move them, trailers, those kinds of things. Cattle is a big animal, up to 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, some of them. So if you're going to have a beef cow, they're going to be big. Dairy cattle are going to be a little bit smaller. And then there are even some miniature breeds. No matter what breed of cattle you get, you need to know that they're social animals. And they're going to have friends. So it doesn't necessarily have to be cattle, but they are going to want to have friends, other things around, or else you become their social herd. So you're going to have them, you can use sheep and goats, but you have to make sure that they all play nice together or else they'll have problems. Now, let's confine ourselves to a couple of breeds. I want to confine ourselves basically to a Jersey cow. And the reason I'll pick a Jersey, they're just a great homesteader cow. They're a little bit smaller. They're a little easier to handle. So let's talk about the Jerseys for a minute. Jerseys produce between 2 and 6 gallons of milk a day. That's a lot of milk. So when you think about that, they can even have a calf on them and produce 3 gallons of milk a day for the homesteader. So that's a lot of milk, and milk has a calorie count of 2,384 calories per gallon for Jersey cattle. Now, when we look at this, when the Jersey cow has a baby, then you can eat it. You know, cows are for eating. So the live weight of a Jersey cow to meat ratio is about 40%. And if you think about it that way, a 1,000-pound Jersey bull or steer is going to give you about 400 pounds of usable meat. And beef averages out, when you count all of the different parts of beef, to about 975 calories per pound. There are over 800 breeds of cattle in the world. Most of them are on every continent except Antarctica. So, and well, if you look at the Arctic, there's some homesteaders that homestead in the Arctic too, and they raise cattle, but musk oxen are basically a big form of cow. So now, what do cattle all have in common that make them such great homesteader animals? They eat grass. Let me say that again. They eat grass. So every homestead about it can grow grass. And depending on the size of your homestead depends on how many cattle you can raise. But we're not talking about cattle to go to market. We're talking about cattle to raise for food. So if we look at that, we're going to confine ourselves to cattle that are milk producers. Now, milk producing cattle are a little bit smaller than beef producing cattle. It's a real important thing to understand that a cow can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. And at my age, which I'm not no spring chicken anymore, at my age, just a shake of their head can break a rib. So you have to plan to be able to take care of these big old critters. Now, why am I concerning myself with a dairy breed? Well, dairy breeds are smaller, number one. Secondly, milk. Do I have to say more? When we look at all of the farmstead animals that we've been using, milk has been a greater calorie producer than any of the other things. Well, a Jersey cow is a milk machine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pick a Jersey. The reason I'm going to pick a Jersey is because really a Jersey cow, 800 to 1,000 pounds, a full-grown Jersey cow, a bull be 1,200 pounds, but a full-grown Jersey cow, and we're going to confine ourselves to a Jersey cow-calf pair. And the reason I want to say cow-calf pair, because remember, cows don't give milk unless they've been bred. So that's where we're going. We're going to use the Jersey. So before we get on to this, let's think about a beef steer for just 1 second. Now I know I'm not going to concentrate on beef steers, but one beef steer, okay, one beef steer can give you enough meat to make 2,000 Wendy's quarter pounders. Say that one more time. One beef steer can give you enough meat to make 2,000 Wendy's quarter pounders. Now imagine that they all just eat grass. Wow, just grass. Alright, so we've decided that we're going to concentrate on a cow-calf pair, and I'm going to pick a Jersey because, in my opinion, they're the perfect homesteader cow. So if we do that, a Jersey cow can have a calf a year. The gestation period for a Jersey is 283 days. Well, for a human, it's 280. So basically, a cow has the same gestation period as a human being. They don't give milk for 280 days. Okay, you have to give them 3 or 4 months dry off time. So they're only going to give you milk for about 8 months out of the year. But now a Jersey cow is a milk machine. She's going to give you somewhere between 2 and 6 gallons of milk every day. 2 and 6 gallons of milk every day. That means you have to go out in the morning and milk. You have to go out in the evening and milk. When my mom was a little girl, one of her jobs was to take care of the cow. Well, back then in Appalachia, there were no stock laws. You didn't keep your cow behind a fence. You kept your garden behind a fence. Because what happened was, the old timers, they would milk the cow in the morning, turn them out, and the cow would go up on the mountain and would stay up on the mountain all day eating whatever it could find. And then it would come back, or you'd have to go get it. Some of them, cows don't care if it rains. So you'd have to go get it sometimes. But once your cow got used to milking, she'd come and go as on the time that she was supposed to. But somebody go get the cow and then milk it in the evening. And that cow can have a calf on it. Now, a Jersey cow with a Jersey calf, the calf's going to get about 2 gallons. So if you've got a cow that's giving 6 gallons a day, you're still going to get 4. So if you look at that, let's make it simple. Let's say our Jersey cow is only going to give us 2 gallons a day. Okay, a gallon in the morning, a gallon in the evening, the calf gets the rest of it. That means she's producing about 4 gallons, which that's nothing for a Jersey cow to produce. Now that calf, you want to raise it until it gets to be about 600 pounds. Now when the old timers did it in Appalachia and an individual had a calf, if it was a bull calf, they let that little bull calf be raised up long enough to breed the cow back, because they weren't after a smart cow. You know, cows don't care if they're smart or not. They're just meat. So they would breed the bull back to the mother, to the cow, and then put the bull in the freezer or whatever it was they were using. Sometimes they dried them, cured them, different things. So now, let's say you've got this young calf, and it's raised up till it's about 600 pounds. Now that's not a great big animal, but it's going to give you about 40% meat. So if you've got that 600 pound calf, it's going to give you about 240 pounds of beef. That's ground beef, beef liver, everything. It's going to give you about 240 pounds of beef. Well, beef is 975 calories a pound. And that's not counting the beef fat and the tallow and the fat around the kidneys. Okay, there's a whole lot of parts of the beef. Plus there's that leather you can make out of the hide. So a beef can provide you with a lot of stuff. But if we consider that beef, 600 pound beef, it's going to give us about 240 pounds of meat. There's 975 calories to the pound. So if you multiply that out, that beef is going to give you 234,000 calories. Well, that's pretty good. But let's take a look at what the milk's going to do for us. Let's consider it for our milk. Alright, milk is the thing. Let's look at it. Excuse me. Even with a calf on, you're going to look at 2 gallons a day from this Jersey cow. So we've got 2 gallons of milk a day that the Jersey cow is going to give us as homesteaders. Well, 2 times 30 is 60 gallons a month. Now you can turn that into cheese, you can turn it into cream and butter, and alright, Jersey cream is something to be said. But 2 gallons a day, 60 gallons a month, you're going to get that for 8 months. So if you multiply that out, that's 480 gallons of milk. That's a lot of milk. So if you look at it calorie wise, there's 2,384 calories in a gallon of milk. Okay, multiply that baby out. What do you come up with? 1,144,320 calories. Wow. 2 human adults need 1,460,000 calories. Just the milk from one Jersey cow for a year is almost enough calories for 2 adults. Now do you see why cows are the #1 homesteader animal? If you want to be sustainable, you need a cow. But let's combine the two now. We've got a cow, she's give us a calf, she's going to give us some meat. For that meat we got 234,000 calories. Then for the milk we got 1,144,300 calories. Finally, that gives us 1,144,320 378,320 calories. Okay, that's so close that you might get hungry, but you wouldn't die. So one cow-calf pair is going to give you enough food for 2 adults for a year. Now, it would be tough to eat milk, cheese, and meat. Okay? So you're going to have this other stuff, the garden stuff that we've been talking about, and the potatoes and all that stuff. You're going to have some of that. But this cow just raised your pigs. Okay, if you take that milk and take some of the meat scraps, this cow just raised your pig. It's that simple. Matter of fact, it just raised probably 2 of your pigs for the most part. Then you got garden stuff and you got other things that you can give it away from cheese making, and those pigs are going to be happy. So now, this concludes our series about the types of animals you could raise on your homestead. Finally, now we're to the point that we can develop a concise, predictable homesteader plan for 1 year sustainability. For 1 year raising all the food and all the feed that we need for a full year. That's a big deal. So prepping and homesteading are a lot the same, but raising that food. So our next video is going to be a consolidated homestead plan. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading, prepping stuff every week. We do 1 to 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead. And now, with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing.